from this after the school board meeting on how that works, and then we could have a more informed discussion. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound terse.
Are they discussing it tonight at their meeting?
Yeah.
They are.
Oh.
But there is, that would work, and I'm all, if we want to make a motion in a second and we vote for that, that's fine. We do lose out on being able to talk with the school board.
If they're requesting us to move it, then, I hear what you're saying, but you mean as far as like, they can have input, maybe they will have input on their discussion tonight as well, but the likelihood is if they haven't done any research on an alternate location, that they're not gonna have time to do that in order for us to communicate to the public what that new location would be.
And this is Trustee Carpenter's question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they would have research on an alternate location. I think that they would have, maybe there would, because are they coming to the next meeting? So I mean, if we did defer to the next meeting, could we then have that conversation of the in-service days? I mean, there are 39
For next
in-service-
year.
Correct. There are 39 in-service days a year, like left. So like, there are plenty of days that we could use the in-service days. And I also do think for our children, it is a really nice thing to be able to have your kids see voting and see it in your schools. So I think, you know, if there's some way that we can, as a community, work together with the school board to keep it safely in the same polling location, I think that, you know, and it would still be within the time frame that we need to, within 30 days. I think that to me, it seems like a reasonable request. Just to make sure that we're getting the proper, everyone has properly discussed the plans together.
Trustee Rogers and then
Oh, no, go on.
So just to be clear, if we were to defer this to the end of the agenda and vote tonight, would the school board still be coming next meeting so we can have that discussion as well?
They still can do that, right?
But we would have voted.
Well, we're voting on a new place or not. So if tonight they say, hey, the village can use Lake Bluff, then there's no need for us to change the polling spot. But I hear you for next year, but if we have to have a new spot for this year.
We're not going to switch it back and forth. So when I had talked to President Shaw during prioritization, the compromise, I thought, and I haven't heard anything since, and that's why I was just taken aback when I saw the village manager's memo, because my assumption was, when we had spoken, we were going to utilize the law enforcement officer until we could have those discussions. And then, so if we have to move, it's a call, I mean, there's not a fiscal note in our file tonight.
I'm not proposing moving it multiple times. I'm saying keep it as is until we hear from the school board otherwise. But there's a reason we're having this discussion, so we have to. So there's a probability that they're going to want us out. I don't know. But that's why I think we could wait until the end of the night. But yeah, I don't want to move people from their polling place. I always would take my kids, you know, when they're there. They went to school there. I like having that civic responsibility. I mean, it's, talk about what's that called, the learning model of the school. Like this is about as close as it gets. So I would, but at the same time, it's up to the school, you know, to determine whether or not they feel that it's not as safe, or whatever the reasons are, up to us to respect that.
True.
So we don't have to make a decision at this moment. We don't have to defer this item maybe, you know, based on what they think about. And we still would have those discussions going forward, but we've got tick-tock going on for this April 2nd. We can't wait to have another school, you know, I mean,
I'm just
Trustee
saying,
Rogers, did you make a motion?
I move that we move this item to, not 15, before closed session, item,
Could be a new item 12?
sure, let's do it. New item 12.
Well, I don't know, I was just
12A.
looking at the number.
That be just the,
I think we're closed
right
session.
before
It would
closed
be
session.
session.
Yeah, okay.
We'll even do future considerations beforehand. So we tell them.
I would, there's a motion and a second. I'd like to make an amendment. The motion, I would like to defer the item to the next, what's the date for the next agenda?
February 4th.
February 4th agenda meeting and request, or allow, I don't know what the right word is, but the school representative to be present before vote.
I'll second
Any discussion?
So the two motions on the table are to either push it to the end of the agenda or push it to the next meeting.
Yeah, so I think we have to,
We still could push it to next
Yeah,
meeting
let's
if
see.
we push it to the end of the agenda. By your amendment, you're just killing our discussion tonight.
right,
You're, instead of allowing us potentially to have the discussion this evening.
only because there's no school board representative.
Maybe they'll show up.
I did not know that, I guess I spoke with them now, we're not communicating that other than texting during the meeting, which is not the most.
We have bio breaks. We have people in the audience who are probably on Facebook and other media.
Trustee Warren.
I mean, I guess maybe my question is to you, Rebecca, is it realistic that we hear from the school board, that we will hear what the school board took action on tonight? Or is it more of a, we'll end up talking about this at 10:30, we won't have any more information than we have right now?
Well, why don't we find out?
What we do know is they won't be here.
True, but we'll know if they're saying get out of the school or not.
And we're happy to text Brian and ask him to provide an update, that I can share with you at another point in the meeting. With whatever conclusion you come with tonight, I am strongly advising this board to make a decision on February 4th.
Oh.
Because I am concerned about that time, anytime after that.
Okay.
When you say you're strongly advising us to make a decision on February 4th, do you mean February 4th in lieu of tonight, or tonight if possible, but?
You know, as I said to the clerk, it's 12 more days, you know, it's not gonna hurt it. I mean, if you made that decision, you do so knowingly, and then we, let people know what the decision you make on the 4th. I doubt they're gonna provide any letter of correspondence to you tonight, but I did text Dr. Davis and have him give me a heads up in terms, if he's available to respond back in terms of whatever their conclusion was, but it will be a limited, unless it's a lengthy text.
Well, and we're just keeping the option open. How about that? And then how about we decide if we don't have any information at 10:30, then we can defer.
Okay, well, there is an amendment and a second, so a motion, amended motion and a second. Do you want to just read that back?
Sure. So right now you would be voting on the amendment, which is to move the consideration, which is before you right now, to the February 4th meeting to talk directly with the school board and administration.
School board, school representative, right? It could be a school, it could be the administration, it could be the school board member. Okay, so is there any further discussion on the amendment?
Amendment, I'm trying to, the first thing was to wait, to move the item to the end of the meeting.
This is to kill it tonight and move it to
So I'm
February
striking
4th.
at the end of the meeting and I'm adding,
So that's what.
Yeah, right, is that correct?
So line,
yes,
Yeah, you can do that.
yeah. So
Okay, I just include that.
I'm just saying at the end of the meeting, I'm just saying at the next.
I'm just gonna ask my fellow board members just to give us a couple of hours, because this is messing with people's, potentially their voting, or their polling place. And that's, we don't want, just like I agree, we don't want police officers necessarily in the polling places, intimidation of voters. I mean, maybe for a lot of us, that's not an issue, but it is. We have a lot of conversations going on in Shorewood right now that we should start paying attention to. And with just MLK Day the other day, this is, we have to be very careful about all the changes that we make as far as voting is concerned. So I'm just asking you guys, just to wait a couple hours. We could vote at 10:30 to move it to February 4th, but please don't kill that option right now of having this discussion tonight and getting the information out to the public as soon as we can if there is a change. Well, not everyone knows. Like, who knows?
Oh, okay, well, we have a motion to call the question.
Second.
Do you need a second to call the question?
No.
Okay, so, all those in,
So this is on the amendment. This is to postpone it until the.
Well, no, that question's been called, you have to vote or calling the question.
Oh, that's right.
And then if that passes, then you vote on the amendment. If that
Thank you.
passes, then you vote on your motion.
so all those in favor of calling the question say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries. We'll now vote on the amended motion.
Whether to pass the amendment
Whether to pass the amendment to the motion, and then if it passes, then you would vote on the amended motion. Okay, so all those in favor of passing the amendment to the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so the it fails. And now we will vote on the original motion. Can you please reread that?
So I have trustee Bachhurst moving to move this agenda item just prior to the closed session on the current agenda.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries. That's fine. Thank you. Okay, so the next agenda item on, the next item on our agenda is our consent agenda.
No.
No. Please, I'm sorry, what did you say? Oh, consider traffic signal box public art project. Rebecca, you want to introduce this or?
Sure. We have Dick Eschner.
I did.
And Dick, I'm going to allow you to introduce all the other people who you have with you on this topic. But Dick has been a longtime chairman of the Public Art Committee and now is a past chairman and trying to. You know, you can't get away from the Public Art
you're
Committee.
gonna have more work
He's
when
been
you're not the chair.
he's actually been a village board member here. And he's been working avidly with the Public Art Committee, and I'll allow you, Dick, to introduce the other members of the organization that you have here, because I think that that's always helpful for us to put faces with names. And he wants to discuss with the board tonight an interesting, a really kind of exciting topic that they have. Hi.
All right,
Welcome.
good evening.
Good evening.
I'm somewhat filling in for Diane Buck, who is now the chair of the committee, but she's going through some tough duty right now. She and her husband, David, are amidst their annual January, February, March, mid-April journey to Hawaii. So I'll fill in. With me tonight, Jenny isn't back yet. Jenny Volpos, who's not a member of our committee, but has been sitting in and offering comments and thoughts, was sitting over there before. I guess she had an errand to run. Eve Sappenfield in another chair, and our newest member, Ellie Rabinowitz, is here tonight, so I appreciate that. Don Berg, who has been quite instrumental in helping come up with the idea and giving us very helpful information, is not here. I expected him, but maybe the weather or something else is preventing that. I'll try and speak clearly without coughing. I've got about 10 cough drops in my mouth. Like many others, I'm amidst hopefully the tail end of the virus that's going around. So, you have received, I think in last week's packet, a memo that we did. Hopefully you've had a chance to look through it. And what I will do, I'm not going to go through that in detail because if you had the chance to read it, there are a lot of issues that are to be completed, but we tried to outline the tasks of which we are amidst now and which have to be completed to get this project going. We came up, and actually this started with Leanne Buchlik about somewhere between 4 years ago and 150 years ago. The idea of doing some public art on the traffic light switch boxes. And after going through other projects, we landed on this sometime during last summer or last fall, and we decided to call this Signaling History. Try and give it a little bit of an interesting name. And again, the purpose of the Public Art Committee and the work we've done over the last, I think we're 12 years now, is to really celebrate Shorewood. Everything that we've got here, the great community, the great culture, the great history, and hopefully this will be an extension of that. Our committee's been working on this, the people here tonight as well as others, and we had a meeting, not a full committee meeting, but a couple of our members met with the Shorewood Historical Society, I think it was last week. The idea was to start the ball rolling on gathering information that could be used for the final artwork on each of the 11 switch boxes. And I don't have any information on that, but that's certainly one of the ideas we're pursuing. I mentioned the memo. There are some attachments that were part of that showed a map of Shorewood with little dots showing the 11 locations of the existing boxes. And I think there were some photographs attached to that. And we'll have to develop that in probably a little bit more finite detail so that when we issue an RFP to the artist community, we've got some well thought out and well prepared information. In brief, what I just mentioned, one of our tasks is a couple of the members, and actually Diane Buck did this before she and David left for 3,000 miles away or more, is to develop an RFP, request for proposal, to